let's talk about these cinemagraphs. There's an easier way to deal with them. I figured that out. It's not nearly as difficult because all we're going to do is we're going to pull a still frame from our image. This is what we're going to be making today. All right, so I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to completely stop this so that it opens just the way. Save changes. No. I want to have it so it opens the way it's going to open for you all. So we'll go ahead, Premiere Pro. So we're going to have a video. We're going to pull the video in. We're going to figure out an area that we want to be our still, make a photograph or a PNG of it, put it on top. We're going to go ahead and lay a mask, and that's all it's going to take. It's a simpler format, and it should work out quicker for you all, and it should make it so that if you want to do it again, it's not as difficult. So here we have new project. I'll open it up, and it was in the sync, so I'm going to call it a sync because I'm a simple person. It already exists. Yeah, we're going to overwrite it because we're going to do it again. This is what we have. This is how yours should open up. So I will go ahead and I'm going to take my MP4 from my camera and bring it in here. We have our preview. We have over here the media browser, and then we have our area that we work in. Now, at this point, if I play it, we can hear the audio. What I want to do is I want to get rid of the audio. So when I click it, if I hit any of this, what's going to end up happening is I'll delete it. So what I want to do is I want to come down here and unlink them. Now I can click on one or the other, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete the audio. The audio is like, it is what it is, but we're not going to use it. So right now we have over here, we have our video, and we can look at our video as we go back and forth. And I'm going to go ahead and make this, use my whole screen. So we have this. What I like to do is I like to go ahead, and down here is our scaling. And I want to get it so that I can see the most subtlety when I'm editing. We're going to look at our movie up here. I can scooch this down, and I'll move this window over because I want to see as much as I can. Now, I've done this, and I know that my hand moves. So if I go back and forth, my hand's all over the place. That's like, oh God, less coffee. But what I did is I then put the ice cream scoop against the sink or the spout, and it becomes steady right about here. Now at this point, you can see my hand still moves. And even right about here, it feels like it's pretty still, right? Not crazy still, but it's much more still than any other part of it. If I keep moving it, we can see it rises a little bit. This is part of being human. Right here, it feels like it's as close to not moving. This moving isn't going to show, but I want to get it so that this doesn't migrate and it doesn't look like it's broken right here. So I'm feeling like this is about as good a frame as I can get for my still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my camera. The two that we need is the camera and the loop playback. Now, if you have stuff up here, but you don't have these, click the little plus right down here, and you're going to have this open up. It's our button editor. So we're going to assume that I don't have these on here. What I need to do is I need to come up the camera. All you do is pull it down with a little hand, and the same with our loop playback. We're going to hit OK. We're good at this point. Now we have to pull the camera down because what we're going to do is when we hit the camera, it's going to make a still image of this. And we have the name of it right here, which we do not care about. We have the format. PNG is perfectly fine. It's really going to be the easiest for Premiere Pro to use. And then we want to make sure that import into our project is clicked. I don't know how your preferences are. I don't know if mine has stayed this, so just make sure that you import it into the project. So it's going to dump one onto my desktop, but it's also going to dump one over here. So I'll go ahead and hit OK, and we see it pop up right here, and we're good to go. Now what I want to do is, I have my video, but I want to make sure that I have my still over here. So I'm going to drag it over and put it on top. It's just like Photoshop, where we look down this way. So the still is going to have a whole still image, and just to illustrate it, as I move it, nothing happens until the still is over. That's what we want. What I want to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stretch my still the entire way. And I do that so I don't have to mess around with it. It doesn't do anything, and now as we play it, nothing happens. And that's good, because if I turn it off and turn it back on, we can see that, right? So we're good. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop, and I'm going to hide this. What I want to do is I want to figure out the area that my hand is moving the least that I can work with, right? And if I come over here, like, that feels pretty good. My hand, that's right about where it gets steady. So what I want to do now is I want to make sure that they're together so that when I edit them, I don't have to edit one and then the others. So I'll go ahead and group them, and I'll bring them over, and you should be able to snap right to that. Now I'll bring them both over here. I'll bring this over, and again, our still image is hidden. What I'm going to now look at is the movement, and the movement is the part that's really going to make or break this. So if we look over here, we only have stuff right here. So what happens, does it ever return back to there? If we come over here, you see we have this stuff over here, and that's going to be a big hallmark of it, and it never really gets there. Now if we look objectively, like this kind of like does the same thing for a while, right? Right about here to right about here, right about there. So what I'm going to do is, I think that's my sweet spot. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to just take it over to here, and then let's see where we're at, and then I'm going to come back over here, and like right here. I'm going to make mine pretty short. They don't need to be long to show this. Now I'll move it all the way over here so that we can watch it. And it just stops. When it stops, make sure that you've hit the playback or the loop. And we hit this, and we can see. Now this looks pretty good, but my hand is moving. That's not a big deal. We don't want it to move, but this is showing the entire frame because we have this turned off. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and show this one, and I'm going to stop it, and I want to go ahead and I want to come up to effects. Now when I come up to effects and I hit this, nothing happens. At this point, I'm going to have to ungroup it. And then when I ungroup it, when I click this, we get our window over here. I group and ungroup, it's not that big a deal. I group it so that when I edit the length of one, it does both of them at the same time. But now I want to put a mask over our still, so I have to ungroup them. It's highlighted. We come over here and we have, well, yours will probably show motion, opacity, and remapping. Remember, effects is where we need to be. We were in editing. We come over to effects, and if neither one of them are selected, like where is my window? We select the one that we want to edit, we get this. Opacity is where we're at. Now we can go ahead and use an ellipse. We can use the polygon. We can make it any shape we want by dragging things, but what I want to do is I want to use excuse me, the free tool. So the way this works is that we just put nodes on here, and I'm going to bring this down because I really want to see this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start right here at something that doesn't move, and I'm going to come around here, and I click it, and then I move my mouse and click it, move it and click it, come over here. I can make a pretty big generalized one because this doesn't have a lot of extraneous movement, and then we just connect them. Now if we watch it, my hand is moving and that's moving out there. And it will get a little frustrating. All we need to do is come over here and invert the mask, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pause it or stop it, and I'm going to turn off. Let me make this a little bigger so it's easier to deal with. If I turn this off, the actual motion to it, nothing happens. Our mask is actually allowing everything else to show and not the motion. If we go ahead and we hit invert, then we can see that the still is covering everything that we don't want to move, and then we insert the motion into it. Now, if you're looking at it and you're thinking, well, Eric, you're kind of a hack. I mean, I'll never argue that, but I put these here because I wanted to show you that whatever happens, we can move these nodes. We just have to go back to the still, make sure we're in this window, and we can move it, and I can just bring these down. And it's like, this is really, it's as easy as it ever could be. Now we see that this is coming over. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this here. I know we're not using that part of it, but we can always go back. Now at this point, when I hit play, we have exactly what we're looking for. We have still, my hand is not moving, and we see the water cascading. It's really this simple. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop it because it's good to go. I'm going to come up here to File, and I'm going to go down here to Export the Media. That's what we want to do. This window comes up. Now, it's going to be animated GIF, GIF, knock yourself out. I don't really care what you call it. We have the animated GIF, GIF, match source, what it's going to be called on the output, right? We can name it by simply clicking on it. Sync, GIF, GIF. We're going to export the video. If there were audio, it would give us the option. I just like getting rid of the audio to begin with, right? We're going to come down here and we have our video. I'm going to expand this a little bit so we can, nope. So really what we want to deal with is we want to match the source, or we have the quality down here. I want the quality to be at 100. We can click this, and at this point we can change the size of it. For this class, all we need is something 1080. And let's remember, 1080 used to be the deal. As long as the chain is linked there, we're good, right? So I changed it, and it becomes 1080 by 1920. At this point, I'll go ahead and I'll hit export. It shouldn't take long. It should be pretty small, and that's what I'm hoping for. At this point, we minimize it because we want to make sure before we do anything that this works. I'll bring my browser back up, and I'm going to drag it over to my browser. Oh, I'll have to go up in here. This browser is kind of weird. And we see it happening. There it is, right? Now, is it the smoothest? No, but I'm trying to show you that we can just pull a still frame out of it. Now, one of the things that happens if you're not careful, and I did this earlier, if we get the info on this, 48 megabytes. This one, when it comes up, it should be smaller than that. And it comes up to 20.8. If you're not careful, they can end up being gigabytes. So let's see, what is this one here? I've done a couple versions of this. We can see that this one, right? So they're all about the same, but we want them as small as we can. At this point, you simply save it, and then we can put it on OneDrive, and I can drag it from OneDrive to our browser to look at them. And I hope this helps. All right, so have a good weekend. Stay warm at the game, and I will see you Monday to look at your GIFs or GIFs or whatever you call them.